Hey, yo everyone, Andrew here, bringing you another video. Do you know what the best time to be a gamer is for me? It's when a new console comes out. Not necessarily for the new console itself, although that is important and great, but rather for the old console. Why? You a little confused? Allow me to explain. See, when a new console comes out, a lot of time gamers sell their old games and even their old consoles in order to have enough money to buy the new console. Then those old games are put on sale. They're cheaper. And usually stores like GameStop do buy two get one free sales. So this allows people like me who didn't get games when they initially first came out to go and buy them for cheaper and to buy them in bulk. For example, when the Wii first came out, GameCube games went down in price. And there were tons of them because people were selling their GameCube games like crazy in order to save money for the next gen consoles. So, this allowed me to go out and purchase those GameCube games for much cheaper and to get rare GameCube games that were hard to find because people were selling them back. In addition to that, like I said before, sales done by GameStop and other gaming stores, the buy two get one free sales, allow me to get games and get them in bulk. So you're probably wondering why I'm talking about this. Well, see, the Wii is coming to the end of its life cycle, and the Wii U is going to be coming out this holiday season. So thus, that means a lot of people are going to be selling their old Wii games to build up some income for their new Wii U game. So what I would like to deliver to you guys is the must-have games for the Nintendo Wii. Now, the reason why I'm doing this video is really to target two sets of people, although this could go to anyone. The first set is people that have the Nintendo Wii, but don't necessarily have the games they want, and they're unsure exactly what games are the best games to get. The second set of people this is geared towards is the people that don't own a Wii, but seeing it's going down in price, they might pick it up and they want some good games to justify the buy. They're interested in the system, but they're not quite sure if they should pull out the money if there's not enough games to actually support it. So what I'm going to deliver to those two people are those must-have games for the Wiis. The games that make the Wii worth picking up. So with that said, let's actually just jump into this list. Now there's a lot of games here, and mind you, some of these games are ports or remakes, but still, they're good games nonetheless, and that's really what matters. And, well, we might as well get one of the big elephants out of the room, so to speak. And the first game on the list would be The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword. Now, I've made it no secret to anyone who's watched my channel before that Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword is my new favorite game. It's just a fantastic game. But you're probably wondering exactly why is it fantastic? Well, whether you're a new gamer to Zelda or not, The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword hits everything on the head. Hits the nail right in the head. The story is fantastic. The artistic and graphic approach is perfect for the game. The pacing of the game is great. The game is challenging, fun, and rewarding. And most important is that The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword was able to do what the Wii was originally always supposed to do, and that is to have the one-to-one controls with the Wii remote. If I have my Wii remote, and I'm using it, the one-to-one controls, the sword is going to do exactly what my hand is doing. So if I move my hand in a circular motion, it's going to go into a circular motion. If I decide to slice like so, the sword will slice like so. This gives so many gaming options when going into combat in The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword. And it's probably the best game to utilize the Wii and Wii Motion Plus. It's definitely a must-have for anyone who is considering getting the Nintendo Wii. So Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword, a must-have game for the Wii. You have to pick this up. Seeing that we're talking about Zelda, let's talk about a few games that are similar to Zelda. If you're a fan of Zelda and you want your little Zelda fix, but you don't feel like waiting for the next Zelda game, well, here's two games that are very similar to Zelda in the style. First and foremost is Okami. which originally was ported to the PlayStation 2, but later got ported for the Wii for one particular reason. Now, the basic concept of Okami is you're in this fictional Japanese world of napalm, and you play as the sun god Amaterasu, who is a wolf. And you go around the land trying to cure it from the darkness that has overtaken it, facing demons and onis and really bad people that steal your lunch money. Now, see, the thing that really is why Okami got ported to the Wii is how you fight your enemies. See, you can do standard attacks with weapons or biting them or tackling them, but the kind of the niche for Okami is you get a celestial brush. And with that brush, you're able to make designs that activate various different effects. For example, if I decide to make a brush stroke across an enemy, it will cut them. This works outside of battle too. If I needed to cut a tree down, I could make a brush stroke and cut it. If I decide to make a circle, the sun will come out. If I decide to make two lines, I can freeze time. So on and so forth. There is several different brush strokes that you can learn, well over 10. I believe the maximum is 12 or 13. And it brings a great level of depth to the gameplay. The reason why this was ported to the Wii and it's better on the Wii is because although there's a bit of a learning curve at first, using the Wii remote to create these brush strokes is just so fluid and so well done. Better than it was done with the analog sticks on the PlayStation 2. If you like a Zelda-based game, but not have it be Zelda, Okami is definitely a place to go. It's a fantastic game with a beautiful art direction and a touching, moving story. And if you get hooked to Okami, there is a Nintendo DS port that is a sequel to it called Okami Den. So Okami, definitely a game that you have to get for the Nintendo Wii. Next is, like I said, games that are similar to Zelda, but not quite Zelda. A game that I actually just recently defeated would be Epic Mickey. Now, I'm not a big Disney fan. I do enjoy Disney and I respect it for what it's worth and give credit where credit's due. But see, my fiance is more the Disney fan. I like Warner Brothers a little bit more when it comes down to the cartoons. Bugs Bunny opposed to Mickey Mouse, Daffy Duck opposed to Donald Duck. She loves Disney. She went to Disney like twice a year growing up. It's crazy. Her family loves the Disney to death. So picking up Epic Mickey was kind of a leap of faith for me. Although I do like the Disney product, it's not something that I'm totally into. But I had to say it was a great leap of faith that I took. An epic leap of faith. Okay, bad pun. Anyways, the basic story is this, is that there is a world where all the forgotten cartoons go. It's called Wasteland. And Mickey accidentally causes a disaster on this wasteland. It's called the Thinner Disaster. And Mickey gets transported there with a magical brush. He meets up with a character named Oswald the Rabbit, who is actually Walt Disney's first cartoon creation, I think a year before Mickey Mouse was created. And Mickey has to kind of work with Oswald to fix the disaster here. Now, the thing that really makes this game stand out is your magical brush, because you have either paint or thinner. Paint allows you to restore the world. Thinner allows you to destroy it. It allows for a lot of unique gameplay and puzzle options. So you could be going through the world and there could be a wall in your way and you use the thinner to get out of the wall. Or maybe you need to get to a platform, but you have to first thin something and then use paint on something and then jump on it and then thin it again and then paint it again. It allows for a lot of gameplay options. Not only when it comes down to platforming or puzzling, but also when it comes down to enemies. And there is a very subtle but still powerful morality system in this. You can either do good deeds or bad deeds, and it will ultimately have an impact on the ending of the game. The story is touching, the art direction is beautiful, and it's just a game that has everything put together nicely packaged. Is it perfect? No. Epic Mickey does suffer from some horrible camera angles and some really rusty jumping mechanics. But other than that, Epic Mickey was still a good game. It's something that if you're looking for something different, something that you might want to consider. I just said something 3 times in one sentence. That's something unique. So, Epic Mickey, pretty good game. Definitely worth picking up. Next, I will talk about a game and a sequel, and that would be No More Heroes and No More Heroes 2 Desperate Struggle. Now, this game is a bit more on the mature side, so if you're older, you're probably better off getting this game. Although you're younger, then you're probably going to still try to get it because it's on the mature side. No More Heroes' basic plot is obscenely absurd, but it works within the confines of the universe, in that you play as Travis Touchdown, as seen here. And what does Travis Touchdown want to be? Well, he wants to be an assassin, the world's greatest assassin. And this guy is a professional wrestling fan, an anime fan. He has a little pet cat. He loves comic books. He's kind of like your typical geek. But he goes out and buys a beam katana, lightsaber, and he strives to become the world's greatest assassin, hacking and slashing his way through enemies to get there. Now, the thing that makes No More Heroes stand out very well is its story, which is, again, very absurd, but actually very good and at times very touching. And in addition to that, the over the topness of it, from the language that is ridiculous amount of swearing, but used in a unique way, to the suggestive scenes, to even the art direction and how you fight bosses. It really is such a unique over the top game. And Travis Touchdown is such a relatable character because he's an underdog. He's a character that you would never expect to win, but you grow with him. And there's a lot of growth in this game. The really great thing about these games is it's like a complete series. After No More Heroes 2, Travis Touchdown's story is over, whether it's for ill or for good. And whenever we get No More Heroes 3, it will be with a different character under a different situation. But No More Heroes is a great set of games. It utilizes the Wii Remote pretty well. I mean, you usually hack and slash with A, but at times you have to use the Wii Remote in various different directions to activate finisher maneuvers, whether they be with your beam katana or be wrestling maneuvers. I know, like a German suplex out of nowhere, a tombstone pile driver. So it does utilize the Wii Remote in interesting ways, also with your side quests and missions, because you do have to do side jobs, and it utilizes that in an interesting way. If you're a fan of cult classic games, if you really want something unique and over the top, No More Heroes and No More Heroes 2 Desperate Struggles are definitely must-haves. They're games that I have enjoyed on the Wii, and I think they're games that you will enjoy. So pick them up. Next, we will talk about a game series that I kind of got sucked into, but not on the Wii originally, but on the DS. And we will be talking about the Trauma Center Second Opinion game. Now, Trauma Center is a set of games that originally started on the Nintendo DS with Trauma Center Under the Knife and Trauma Center Under the Knife 2. Since then, there's been 3 Wii games, Trauma Center Second Opinion, New Blood, and Trauma Team. Now, Trauma Center Second Opinion is a port of the original Under the Knife game. It has the same story, relatively the same operations. The only differences are this. One is the art direction is a little bit different. As you can see here, the art direction is a little bit different from the original art, although it's more akin to its sequel, which is here. So the art direction is a little bit different. And in addition to that, you get a few more utensils when you're doing your operations. But the basic story, and you also get 2 secondary side stories that you can do. But the basic story is this, is that you play as Dr. Derek Stiles. And you have to work with an organization to fight the guilt outbreak. Guilt is a virus-based contagion used by terrorists. And you have to go around and do various different operations as first. Normal operations that a doctor would do, maybe reset some bones or remove a tumor or do surgery on someone that has something lodged in their lungs, something along that lines. But then you go into more extreme kind of missions slash operations where you have to deal with the guilt virus. Now, Second Opinion utilizes the Wii Remote very well when it comes down to using the various different tools that a doctor would have, from a scalpel to suturing up wounds to using antibiotic gel to using a defibrillator. Even using forceps where you have to press B and A together in order to clamp things. It really does utilize the Wii in a great way. and it's a fun story. And if you can't get your hands on the original Trauma Center games, Under Knife and Under Knife 2, Second Opinion is a good port of the original game because, like I said, it's the same story, the same characters, just with a slightly different art direction tone and a few extra missions. But again, if you can't get your hands on these games, which the original game was only $4 to buy, and these two are some of the best DS games I've ever played. And that's something to be said because there's a lot of Zelda, Mario, and Pokemon games out there, but they were great games. But if you can't get your hands on them, you can get Second Opinion for under $10, and it's unique and it's different. If you like mini games, this is kind of a place to go. And it's like I said, it's completely different. I never thought I would like games based on operations and doctors, but I took a leap of faith, and here we go. So, Second Opinion, definitely something that you would want to give a second opinion to. Okay, that was pretty bad. But seriously, it's a game that you might want to give some good thinking on, something different, something to, challenge you in a different way. It's really fun. And they also have difficulty levels. In the original game, it was one set difficulty. In this, there's multiple difficulties. So that is good. So let's move away from adventure games and a few puzzle games, and let's talk about a random fighting game. And next would be Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi 2. Now, I know there is a Tenkaichi 3 out on the Wii, but I don't have it, so I'm only going to talk about 2. Budokai Tenkaichi 2 is one of my first games that I got for the Wii. My first game actually being Super Paper Mario, but uh, I'm not a big Dragon Ball Z fan. I watched all the episodes, even the GT stuff, and I respect it. I'm just not a huge fan. My friend, on the other hand, is obsessed with it. If he could go to sleep wearing Goku's hair, trust me, he would. But Budokai Tenkaichi 2 is a fun, unique game because it's really the closest thing that I ever had to a Dragon Ball Z experience on a fighting game. With all the other side-scrolling Dragon Ball Z fighting games, they were okay, but they weren't great. With this, it's like free world open fighting. You going around and fighting people in that free world sense. You can fly around, you can charge up whenever you want to, you can perform attacks whenever you want to. You can upgrade yourself into Super Saiyan or various different form, transform, for lack of a better term. But the thing that makes this so fun is how it utilizes the Wii Remote. Certain moves are utilized in various different ways. So if I have a Wii Remote, I can, let's use the phone. If I have the Wii Remote stylus on the screen, I can point up and my Gohan will do a Masenko. So if I point up and down with the thing, Masenko. Or if I go like pull back and in, Kamehameha. Uh, if I did like a motion like this with the nunchuck and then I push in and out, then I'll do a Kaioken. There's various different things. If I store my energy, I put my stuff up, I throw a spirit bomb. It's really unique and fun with how it does the Wii Remote action with the actual moves. Now, a lot of the moves are used over and over again with the Wii Remote action. The move to do the Masenko is the same to do the Special Beam Cannon, but it's still fun and still different. And all the characters kind of balance out in their own way. My favorite characters to play were Goku, Android 18, and Broly. They were just, you know what? Piccolo is also pretty good too. But it's a fun game, and it's not cheap though. It's hard to find and can be expensive. But if you're a fan of Dragon Ball Z, or if you want some really high octane fighting, this is a place to go. Again, there is Budokai Tenkaichi 3, but I can't comment on it because I haven't played it. All I know is there's some new characters, but this was a really fun game. It's definitely something worth picking up. Okay, you guys may not know this, but I am a big James Bond fan. I love the films. My favorite three films, GoldenEye being my favorite, From Russia with Love being my second, and the second Casino Royale, the remake, not the original one. But I'm a big James Bond fan, and I think you all know where I'm going for this. I think everyone played the original GoldenEye back in the day, so I will also recommend GoldenEye for the Wii. Now, this is not a perfect first-person shooter. It's not a perfect James Bond game. Actually, the best James Bond game I ever played was Everything or Nothing for the GameCube. But GoldenEye is really still a good game. What I particularly like about this, oddly enough, what stands out the most is the single player. A lot of people say, well, it's the multiplayer, which is worth playing. But the single player is actually really good on this. They adapted the GoldenEye story very well. They changed it up a bit, but that's cool because it came out very nicely well done. Uh, yeah, GoldenEye for the Wii is not perfect, and I know there's other versions out there, but you can still get it for a decent price, and you can get your little James Bond fix like I need to get every once in a while. So yeah, good game. Let's talk about another port. Um, when we talk about my favorite video game series, certain names get thrown around, like Zelda, Mario, Pokemon. But one of my top 5 favorite video game series is Resident Evil. My favorite game for Resident Evil thus far has been Resident Evil 4. And lucky for me, early on in its Wii life cycle, Resident Evil 4 was ported to the Wii. Originally on the GameCube, and then ported on the PS2, and I think it's now a DLC on not a yeah, it's a downloadable game on the Xbox Live. Basically, Resident Evil 4 is your survival horror game with a bit of action thrown in there. It's really the one of the only games in the Resident Evil series that has successfully balanced action with survival horror. The second closest one was Revelations. But other than those two, it's either been all survival horror or all action. And Resident Evil 4 is just a beautifully well done game. If you don't know anything about Resident Evil, it's a zombie game. For lack of a better term. They're not really zombies, but they're kind of zombies. And you play as our hero, Leon S. Kennedy. You go around, and what makes this game so great is how you utilize the Wii Remote. You point, you shoot, boom. You use your knife, you slice like that. It really made the game a lot more fluid and have a bit more synergy when it comes down to the controls. It makes the game a little bit easier than its counterparts. Seeing that I can snipe people with shotguns, and that's pretty crazy. But it's still challenging and good game. And the great thing about this is a great gateway into the Resident Evil universe because you don't need to know anything about Resident Evil beforehand. I didn't when I first jumped into Resident Evil. Actually, my first Resident Evil game was Resident Evil 4. And since then, I've played every single Resident Evil game in the main series, and even in the side series. But yeah, Resident Evil 4 on the Wii is one of the best shooters. It's a great survival horror game, and it's a good action game, too. And like I said, it's a good gateway into the Resident Evil universe if you know nothing about it. Definitely a screwed up my words. I definitely recommend it for you guys. Recommendation. Seeing that we're talking about Resident Evil games, might as well talk about two more Resident Evil games, and that would be the Resident Evil Umbrella Chronicles and Resident Evil Darkside Chronicles, basically the Chronicle series. Unlike Resident Evil 4, this is a rail shooter, so it is similar to House of the Dead in that you don't move, the game moves you, and you just point and shoot. And the cool thing about this game, or these games, is that you go through every single Resident Evil game in the main series up till Resident Evil 4. And you basically go through the stories of each game. They're streamlined and they're condensed, and certain things are rectified and actually make sense. Like, for example, in Resident Evil 1, you play as either Chris or you play as Jill. But they're both in this mansion together and they never collide with each other. Why? Well, it's because they're with each other the whole time. And it's said in Resident Evil Umbrella Chronicles that's the case. Like Leon and Claire being with each other the whole entire time. Stuff like that. It makes sense of the series in areas it didn't make sense of. You also get some side missions like in Umbrella Chronicles, you get the Wesker side mission, which is behind the scenes. And in this, the Dark Side Chronicles, you get Leon's and Krause's side mission, which is behind the scenes. For a rail shooter, it's a pretty good game, and what makes these games really fun, in particular Dark Side Chronicles, is that there is no difficulty level. The difficulty level adjusts to how good you are. So if you're going around and you're knocking out zombies left and right, getting headshots left and right, the difficulty will go up. Zombies will start to dodge when you start to put the cursor on their head. They'll start to get a little bit more aggressive. So that's actually one of the cool, unique things, and it's particularly in Dark Side Chronicles, is that the difficulty gets amped up based on how good you are. So, yeah, if you want to get into the Resident Evil series after Resident Evil 4, but you don't feel like playing all the games, this basically gives you an overview of all the Resident Evil series. They're really fun, and they're good rail shooters. I think House of the Dead was also ported to the Wii, and I would tie these with House of the Dead. This was really fun rail shooting games, and I'm not a big rail shooter fan. So I like fighting games. They're not perfect, but I like fighting games. And do you know what my favorite fighting game series is? It's Samurai Showdown. And lucky for you, and lucky for me, Samurai Showdown was ported to the Wii. That kind of rhymes. Samurai Showdown Anthology Collection collects Samurai Showdown 1 through 6. Amazing! Yes, it collects the first 6 Samurai Showdown games. And again, these are ports, but if you want a solid video game experience, if you want a very artistic, well polished, and well done game with great tight game controls, the Anthology collection for Samurai Showdown is something you have to get. When I say it's one of the best, most challenging fighting games, it definitely is. The graphics are great for its time. They're sprites, but they look beautiful and crisp, and the game controls are so great. And the thing is that characters, although changed slightly throughout each game, their play style is relatively the same. Uh, so if you want 6 great games for fighting, Samurai Shodown is the way to go. SNK is great with fighting games, and Samurai Shodown is the top. But if you're not into Samurai Shodown, I don't know why you wouldn't, but let's just say you want to try a different fighting game series. SNK also released the King of Fighters, the Orochi Saga collection, which is basically King of Fighters 98, 96, 95, 97, and 94. So you get 5 King of Fighter games for the price of one. With King of Fighters 13 just coming out too, this is a great thing to jump into the series. You get to learn the characters, you get to know their movesets, and you really get to get a feel of the gameplay so that when you get into 13, you're not too lost or confused. And they're good games. Is it as good as Samurai Showdown? I don't think so. Samurai Showdown is my place to go, but this is still a good game series. My favorite character to use in Samurai Showdown is Homaru right here. And in King of Fighters, I am a big Athena fan. So, uh, 2 great collections of fighting games that are worth picking up. So we're probably a little past halfway on this little list I have here. So let's kind of speed it up a bit because we're hitting into the half-hour mark. I know some people don't like my videos to be too long. Let's talk about a little gem. Do you like side scrolls? I like side scrolls. So let's talk about Miramasa the Demon Blade. Miramasa the Demon Blade is exactly what I said. It's a little gem. It's hard to find and it can be a little pricey at times, but it's definitely worth it because what you do is you play as one of 2 characters. You either play as a boy or a girl. The boy is a ninja and the girl, I forget. I think she's either a princess or a priestess. And you go around, you fight demons. The thing that makes this game so fun is this. One, all the villains, all the bosses, all the enemies are really unique and really cool looking. 2 is this is a hardcore game because there is well, well over 100 and something swords. I forget how much. There might even be like 300 and something swords. I could be wrong, but there is a shitload of swords. And each sword has a different power ability, which you can access those power abilities. So some swords might shoot fireballs. Some may make you do super spinning attacks. Some might make you throw the sword and make a gust of wind come out and absorb enemies and suck them in. Each sword have a various different powers. And in order to get all the swords, you would have to play the game over multiple times. It is well worth it because all the swords are awesome. These stories are parallel to each other, so you can play one or the other and you get the full story experience. And it is just a really fun side-scrolling game. If you want a hardcore side-scrolling game, but you don't want to necessarily jump into the traditional Nintendo stuff like Mario or Donkey Kong, and you want to try something completely different, Miramasa the Demon Blade is definitely a place to go. Really fun game, and it's a gem. When it first came out on the Wii, I got it the day it came out, and there was only 1 copy. Just shows you how hard it's to find. And I've only seen it once more since. Seeing that we've been talking about a lot of combat, might as well talk about another big elephant in the room. And we will talk about the Super Smash Bros. Bro game. Super Smash Bros., and we're talking particularly about Brawl, is one of the best fighting games I think out there. It's innovative, it's different, and it takes a unique approach when it comes down to fighting games. In addition to that, you get to play as all your favorite Nintendo characters. Melee used to be my favorite of the bunch, but I think Brawl is starting to take me over as one of the better games. Although Melee still has a little bit better mechanics when it comes down to how characters move. Brawl is still a great game to get. I don't think there's many Wii players out there that don't have Brawl. You get to play as Mario, Pikachu, Charizard, Link, Donkey Kong, Samus, Solid Snake. You get to play as Sonic. You can play as tons of characters from the Nintendo universe, and even characters outside the Nintendo universe. It's awesome. And Super Smash Bros. Brawl is just a fun game. I'm not going to go into it too much because everyone basically knows what it is. But if you get the Nintendo system for the Wii, you have to get Brawl. Really good game. Okay, we're getting to the end now. Let's get to Metroid. There's two Metroid games I want to talk in particular, but I'm kind of talk about three. First, we'll talk about Metroid Prime Corruption, the end of the Metroid Prime series, and the Metroid Prime series is the best first-person shooter series I played in God knows how long. Beautiful, well done. Get a sense of that, lone space adventurer, bounty hunter going off to take care of evil and parasites and stuff. It really does get the tone of Metroid down really well. Although Metroid Prime 1 is my favorite, and then I like Echoes also, Corruption is still pretty good. And the reason why I'm saying I'm kind of talk about three games is you can get all the Metroid Prime games on a special collected disc, which is the Metroid Prime collection, and the GameCube games will be updated for the Wii controls. And similar to the Resident Evil, you use the Wii remote like a gun. You just point and shoot, which makes things incredibly more accurate and more fun. More fun. Funner. Whatever. And you can use the Wii remote for various different other things, like you whip someone and pull off their shield and then start shooting and boom, boom, boom. It really can be very fun. So, Metroid Prime 3 Corruption and the Metroid Prime Collection definitely must-haves for the Wii. Now we're going to talk about another Metroid game that a lot of people were a little iffy on, and that's Metroid The Other M. Now, Metroid The Other M does have a cheesy story, and it does butcher Samus's voice acting. But if you look past that, Other M is actually a pretty decent game. It has solid gameplay all the way through. The art direction is pretty good, except for that little beauty mark that Samus randomly has just during this game. I think is kind of out there. Makes no sense. I don't mind it. It's just, why is it there? It never shows up in any other game. But the art direction is really good. The story can be cheesy at times, but it's not a bad story by any means. And it does have an epic feel to it. Is it the perfect Metroid game? Oh, no. But I would definitely not say it's at the bottom of the list like a lot of people put it at. Again, Samus's voice acting is horrible, and the story can be a little cheesy, but the gameplay is tight, and it really tries to marry the third-person aspect of Metroid Prime series with the previous kind of side-scrolling overview world of the original Metroid series. So it's definitely something that you would want to consider, and you can get it for cheap. So why not? Metroid the Other M. Let's talk about challenging games. Let's talk about a side-scroller. Let's talk about Donkey Kong Country Returns. Donkey Kong Country Returns is right up there as one of the hardest games that you're going to play for the next-gen consoles, and on particularly the Wii. The game concept is exactly what you think. It's a side-scrolling game where you play as Donkey Kong. And the basic story is, well, you know what I love about Donkey Kong stories? It doesn't matter. Where Link has to go and fight evil demons and get the Triforce and protect the land of Hyrule while saving Princess Zelda, or Mario has to save Princess Peach from a giant turtle that breathes fire in the kingdom of the Mushroom Kingdom, or Samus has to go out and eradicate a parasitic alien foe in the Metroid series. Or Leon S. Kennedy has to take on all these zombies to face off against eco-terrorists. Donkey Kong's story comes down to petty theft. Someone took his bananas. He wants his bananas back. What is he going to do? He's going to go get his bananas. That's the story for Donkey Kong. It is awesome because it's just so simplistic and it works. But make no mistake, Donkey Kong Country Returns is a tough game. It has beautiful graphics, beautiful music, some of the best music on the Wii, and it's just absolutely so fun and challenging, but it's tough. It will push you to the limits. So, If you want a tough, challenging game that just has everything else done well, Donkey Kong Country Returns is definitely a must-have for the Wii. However, if you're not into hardcore gaming, you want a little bit more of a casual side-scrolling game, Kirby Return to Dreamland is a good place to go. It's kind of the weird brother to Donkey Kong, because where Donkey Kong has great music, great art direction, and good mechanics, Kirby also has great music, great art direction, and great mechanics, but Donkey Kong's incredibly hard. Kirby's pretty easy. It's a casual game where you can sit down and have fun. You get various different powers and abilities throughout the game, and you can play as various different characters. You also get super moves, and you get all the classic Kirby gameplay. Like I said, if you want a little bit more of a casual game, a game that you can sit down and relax to, Kirby Return to Dreamland is definitely the place you want to go. Especially after playing Donkey Kong Country Returns, it might be good to level out with Kirby. Okay, let's talk about Wario Land Shake It. You know what I like about Wario? He's a douche. He's an asshole. Wario cares about only one thing: money. If he happens to save a kingdom or a princess along the way, hey, so be it. But Wario likes money. And that's all that matters, and that's the concept of this game. Wario is one of the best looking games that I've seen on the Wii, Wario Land Shake It. It has a cartoon art direction that just flows so well with the game, and it has great mechanics, great control, and basically you utilize the Wii remote very well. There's some interesting bosses, and the only problem with this game, the only problem, is it's very short. There's only, I think, 5 worlds and a boss for each world. So you'll go through the game fairly quickly, but there's a lot of replay because there's a lot of challenges and trophies you can get along the way, and hidden treasures. But yeah, it's a great platformer. A great platformer that has a beautiful art direction. And something that kind of went under the radar for me for a while until just this previous year. So pick it up. Wario Land, shake it. Oh, and by the way, it has the best ending to a Wii game or any game that I've seen in forever. I don't want to spoil it, but it's hilarious. So we're at the end of this video, this list, and we might as well talk about the big man on campus. We started the list with the big title of Zelda. We might as well end this with the big title of Mario. We have 4 Mario games we're going to go through here, and they're all worth picking up. First and foremost is we have the new Super Mario Bros. For the Wii. New Super Mario Bros. For Wii is classic Mario side-scrolling with a updated next-gen touch to it. You can play as 4 players on here, which can be counterproductive, but it's where all the fun for the game comes from. It's playing as those 4 characters. Because a lot of times you can screw your friends over. It's challenging at times, it's fun at times, and it's enjoyable. It's a Mario side-scrolling game. It's probably the weakest out of the Mario titles I'm going to show you, but it's still worth picking up. Next, we have Mario All-Stars. Super Mario All-Stars was originally ported to the SNES, and I actually have it. Why am I pointing over there? I actually have it down there. It was originally ported to the SNES, and then it was ported to the Nintendo Wii. You basically get Mario 1, 2, Lost Levels, and Mario 3 on here. That's awesome. If you're looking to get more in the Mario series and you never played the original games, this is the place to go. It's for the 25th anniversary. It's really fun, and such nostalgia with this. It's hard to find, and it can be pricey because they were a limited release. They came with a music CD and a special additional CD for various different things. And if I open it up, it has like a special booklet that goes through the history of Mario. But yeah, you want to get into Mario and you want some old school games that are still good, here's the place to go. And last on the list, but definitely, certainly not least, I would put it up there with Zelda as the best of the Wii games. I think Zelda Skyward Sword and these sets of games are the 2 games that really define the Nintendo Wii, would be Super Mario Galaxy and Super Mario Galaxy 2. These games are awesome. It took Mario in the 3D world, polished him up, gave him a whole new universe and atmosphere to deal with, and it was awesome. Uh, Gameplay was tight, the music was beautiful, the worlds were unique. They were just really great games. Must-haves. Must-haves. I can't talk about them anymore than that. Must-haves. So yeah, those are the list of Wii games that I recommend that you pick up. Um, I thought I'd give you some diversity when it comes down to the Wii. Various different games that, maybe you want a shooter, maybe you want an action adventure, maybe you want a side scroller, maybe you want a puzzle game. They're all there. Those are all games worth picking up on the Wii. The heavy hitters there, I would say, are Mario Galaxy, Mario Galaxy 2, Zelda, Resident Evil 4, No More Heroes, Donkey Kong Country Returns. Games like those are the must-haves, along with the Metroid Prime series. But all the other games are fantastic games that you will enjoy. So I'm going to end this video here. This is Andrew saying peace out for now.